It is 7 o'clock on the East Coast. It is 4 o'clock on the West Coast. It is the 30th of July in the year of our Lord 2023. Season 14, episode 3, 638 times you have been welcome to the Clubhouse Podcast, live via StreamYard to Facebook Live, to YouTube, and to Twitch. That's right, Twitch. We are your one-stop shop for all things sports, entertainment, and pop culture. Welcome. My name is Rob. I am the executive producer of the Clubhouse Podcast. And it's almost August, y'all. Crazy. That way for me. Got it right the first time. He is my co-host and a man who facilitates events. You may know him as Alex because he's still Alex.
Yeah, well, we are getting closer to August. We are getting closer to football. It is so close. I am so excited. Can we get to that, please? Now,
at the bottom of your screen is the official fact checker of Sooner Gator Productions, and a man who had a good reason to not be here last week. You may know him, as it says on the screen, as Igbunu, but his mama named him Don Ford. I'm going to call him Don Ford. Hey, man.
I had to watch some TV.
You did indeed.
But I had to hang out with the wife, too.
Well, there's that.
Because 6 years ago, that day. Still love you, honey bunny.
6 years, kids.
6 years. And she's still putting up with me. How and why, I have no earthly idea. I
will neither confirm nor deny. Let us dive right in. Let's get to our NASCAR results. NASCAR's website is getting more and more difficult to navigate.
Well, that's because they hired somebody that said, we need this to represent our scoring and our playoffs more. Can you make it convoluted and weird?
Today was the Cookout 400 at Richmond. I got nothing.
I did the pit boss yesterday. Does that count?
It is a cookout.
I'm still trying to figure out how to get going this season. It's been so unbelievably hot.
Yeah.
But I think the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do smoked queso.
Ooh.
And then after that, I'm going to smoke a beer can chicken. Those are my next two projects.
Nice.
The Fantastic Ford is looking to get in the Lockhart for me.
Nice.
You know, the Lockhart.
This is all of our cookout talk, right?
You want to drop that pit boss off at the house? Just let me know. I'm just saying.
Well, put it this way: if I get the Lockhart, I'm not going to need the regular pit boss.
That's what I'm saying.
You want somebody?
Your top 10 finisher, starting in 8th place and finishing in 10th in the number 4 Ford, Kevin Harvick. Austin Dillon, attorney at law. He is in the number 3 Chevrolet, and he starts in 17th and winds up in 9th. Eric Almirola, You Killed My Father, Prepare to Die, starts in 24th, winds up in 8th in the number 10 Ford. The number 19 Toyota takes 7th place, starting in 10th with Martin Truex Jr. Brad Keselowski starts in 13th, cuts that in half as he finishes 6th in the number 6 Ford. A name I don't think we've said like ever, much less this season. In the number 41 Ford, starting in 11th, finishing in 5th, Ryan Preece.
I don't think we've ever said that one either.
Father. Starting in 23rd and winding up in 4th in the number 22 Ford, formerly Smoke. Now Joey Logano. Starting in 2nd, winding up in 3rd in the number 8 Chevrolet, Kyle Busch. Denny Hamlin in the number 11 Toyota starts in 3rd, winds up in 2nd, so they switch places. Now, here's the big one. Winning the race today. In the number 17 Ford is one Chris Buescher. He started today in 26th.
Oof, that's a lot of work.
Shout out Chris Buescher. Let's go into your updated standings. That remember, this doesn't include today because it's not official, but we all have questions. If the playoffs started today, your 2 odd men out would be Daniel Suarez, You Killed My Father, Prepare to Die. That's the actual right one. Almirola is not right on that. And AJ Allmendinger with a side of slaw. But Allmendinger is 17 points behind number 34 Ford, number 1 in your hearts, Michael McDowell. McDowell is 10 points back on Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace 29 back on Stenhouse Jr. Stenhouse Jr. is 53 back on Buescher. Buescher with a big jump today. We'll probably knock him up at least a couple more spots there because he was only 11 points back on Keselowski, and Keselowski is only 3 back on Reddick. Reddick now 12 back on Joey Logano. Logano is 16 back on the Stone. Ryan Blaney. Blaney 10 back on Harvick. Harvick is tied with Kyle Larson, caveman attorney. They are both 8-point back on Kyle Busch. This is crazy that we're this deep in the season and still only one of the Busch brothers is playoff qualified.
That is a rarity.
The other one out?
I wonder if he's hurt. It's Kurt that's missing, yes?
Yeah, I don't see his name in here.
Let's take a look.
And let's see. Busch is 4 back on Ross. Don't you dare call me Jessica Chastain. Chastain is 23 back on Christopher Ring My Bell. Bell is 20 back on Moons Over My Hamlin. Moons Over My Hamlin, 25 back on the Poet William Byron. Byron now 30 back on Truex. Isn't that what they make cookware out of? That's Pyrex.
Probably.
Next week, we go to the Michigan International Speedway. We are looking for the Brooklyn. We are looking for the Brooklyn, Michigan. That doesn't quite work out. 200 laps, 400 miles. So that's a half-mile track for those of you playing the home game. Or it's 2-mile track. I got that backwards. Alex, go ahead.
Kurt Busch is not racing a full-time schedule in 2023 as he still remains sidelined with concussion-like symptoms.
Get well, sir. Concussions are not something to mess with.
Absolutely not.
But next week for Michigan International Speedway, the Firekeepers Casino 400.
It sounds cool still.
It's better than the Cookout 400
I don't know. I like cookouts.
and the Crayon 301.
That's terrible.
See if there's anybody else in the running for bad NASCAR races at this point in the year.
The Tony the Tiger 300. Let's go.
The Worth 400. You with an umlaut over it.
An umlaut.
You Worth.
Are we allowed to say that without Doc on the air?
We can. He had a big gig with the Foreigner band last night.
Yes. Double Vision.
Let's see. I'm looking for anything else that might be it's just as wheels off, and I'm not seeing anything at this point in the year. There's still plenty of time.
Yeah.
We only have 4 more races until the playoffs begin. Oh, and that will begin with the Cookout Southern 500.
Okay.
What are we doing?
Rehashing names that they pull out when nobody buys the sponsorship.
Did you?
Well, it depends. Is it a Southern Cookout? Is it a Northern Cookout? Is it?
Are there beans in the
here's
chili?
the
It's
The week after that, September 10th, interesting sponsor, secondary sponsor.
Go
It
on.
is the Hollywood Casino 400 in Kansas, presented by Barstool Sportsbook.
Mm.
Interesting.
I will say I may or may not have gotten an early run with that app, and it's not bad. It's just you have to be in other states to use it.
Next weekend, boys.
What's that?
Donald Aloysius Ford.
Next weekend, SummerSlam.
No. That's the other
Yeah.
show.
Okay.
Look at the bottom of the screen, Don.
Oh, NFL. Okay.
Actually, I'm going to do you one better. This many days.
Does that mean we get Hard Knocks this week or next week?
I believe it's next week
Next week.
because
With the
it's the
JT.
Hall of Fame game that is on Thursday.
Oh, boys, it's almost here.
And you know what? This is probably a bad time to bring it up, but we may want to have a little show meeting about when we want to do our preview.
We will have that because it will not be like last year.
No, we're not throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah. I have to go to bed at a certain point.
No
on
kidding.
Sunday evening. But yeah, it's almost time, gentlemen. We did find out that the Pro Bowl this year will be in Orlando. So you got that going. I'm sorry, the Pro Bowl games. Isn't that what the official name is?
Yes. I had so much hope for it last year, and it was so bad.
I still think
So
the best thing I've seen in an all-star type situation was a couple years ago when the NHL was in Vegas.
Mhm.
And then instead of the skill shots, they had those big glass cards. and
Yes.
whichever ones they hit, it was like a poker thing. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, no, all of their skill competitions that were in Vegas were amazing. I appreciate the NHL's ingenuity there. The NFL could take a lot of notes.
Is the trade deadline for MLB tomorrow or Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Yeah,
you know why I know that too, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
Hey, I wasn't going to say nothing. I just wanted to make sure.
You weren't going to say that. You just started it.
No, I couldn't remember when, because it feels weird. It feels like the trade deadline is later than
It is.
And it always throws me off because I always feel like it's in that last full week of July, and then it's August 1st, and I'm just confused.
Yeah, no, it is August 1st, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Deals have to be in for them to be ratified. Now, part of the reason that they have moved the trade deadline back, we did touch on this a little bit last year, which was the first year they moved it back. But because there is now the extra wild cards, they wanted to leave it so that more people who were like unsure if they were going to be buyers or sellers, I'm the latter, of what they were going to do, had the opportunity to see how the rest of their season was going to play out.
Well, let's get into the standings because we have two of North America's favorite game shows to play. In the AL East, the New York Yankees are still in last place. They're 8 games out, but they're only a game back on Boston. Boston now 2 back on Toronto. Toronto's now 4 back on Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay still only 1 game back on Baltimore. This is going to be fun to watch in September, I think. The weirdest thing is nobody in this division has a streak longer than 1 game. Baltimore's lost 1. Tampa Bay's won 1. Toronto and Boston have lost 1. The Yankees have won 1. In the AL Central, the Kansas City Royals are still terrible. They're 22 games back in the division. You cut that in half and they can catch the White Sox. Go ahead, Alex.
We might have some semi-breaking news.
Oh, let me get the thing. We go live to Alex for breaking news.
The Cardinals, for the first time possibly in my lifetime, have become sellers unquestionably, having shipped Jordan Hicks to Toronto and Jordan Montgomery and Chris Stratton to Texas.
More news for the Rangers. This has been breaking news from Alex. I like it when we have sound effects. I hope they come through now because they used to not come through. I'm using a different board, so I'm hoping that makes. I got the little board in here. The big Yamaha is over there now, and I'm gonna use that for because I don't have 9 people in my studio anymore.
Also true.
So I'm using the big board for bigger gigs, which are when there will be one next month, maybe 2.
Nice.
All right.
And we know that Don likes seeing the Cardinals suffer, so them selling makes him happy.
Yes. Still mad they're not going to be in. The Pirates aren't going to be in town when I'm up there in a couple of weeks. Kansas City back 11 on the White Sox. The White Sox now 4.5 back on Detroit. Detroit now 6 back on Cleveland. Cleveland is only a half game back on Minnesota. So now, gentlemen, it is time to play the first of North America's favorite game shows. It is. What is the difference between the last place team in the AL East and the first place team in the AL Central? Don.
I'm going to say 2.5 games.
Okay. In whose favor?
The Central.
Okay.
I'm going to say 2 games in East.
The New York Yankees,
who just got Aaron Judge back,
are currently 55-49.
Mm-hmm.
There is a bit of a games played difference between the two right now for some reason.
You said 55-49?
That's correct. There's a 529.
Okay, so that's 5.5. 5.5 games over 500.
The Minnesota Twins are 54-53 right now.
So that's 1.
1 win separates them. But by the looks of things, Minnesota's played 107 games. The Yankees have played 106. To
So
balance.
with,
Weird.
with the Yankees 5.5 over and the Twins 1 over, that is 4.5.
The Yankees would lead the AL Central right now by 2 games. By the way, Minnesota's lost 5 in a row.
Ooh.
In the AL West, the Oakland Athletics are 31 games back. They're a month back. Month and change because they don't play every day. They are 25 games behind Seattle.
They could play 2 doubleheaders in February and still have lost every game.
They're 25 back of Seattle.
Oh,
Seattle's a half game back on La. La is 4 back on Houston. And Houston's a game and a half back on the Rangers right now. You want to hear something else? Actually, I'm going to save this other thing I just saw.
okay.
Which is going to blow your mind. In the National League West, the Colorado Rockies, they're 18 and a half back. They're 10 back on the Padres. The Padres now 4.5 back on Arizona. Arizona's a game and a half back on San Francisco. San Francisco only 2.5 back on Misty's beloved Dodgers right now. In the NL Central, Don, as much as you hate the Cardinals, you love the Cardinals right now. Because the Cardinals are keeping you out of the cellar. You're a game ahead of the Cardinals right now.
I don't hate the Cardinals like I do the Ravens. Put it that way.
But the Cardinals are a game ahead, or the Cardinals are a game behind you. You are 6 back on the Cubs.
Yeah.
The Cubs currently 3.5 back on Milwaukee, and the Brewers now a half game back on Cincinnati. And that's because Milwaukee's lost 3 in a row.
And what? So we're about 10 back right now?
You're 10 back. Which is manageable. It's manageable.
I know, but we were winning in the beginning a few weeks back.
You're on a 2-game win streak, Don.
I know, but hey, we were winning the division before the All-Star break. And then, like every year is normal, we start good, then we,
and traded one of your best players within the division to Milwaukee.
And in the only division that matters, the NL East. God bless you, Nationals. They're 24.5 games back.
And about to trade their best player.
And they're 6.5 back on the Mets. The Mets now 6 back on Philly. Philly's now a half game back on Miami. And dear God, Atlanta. The Braves are 11.5 up right now.
I miss Max Scherzer already.
Starting to get scared, bro. This is starting to get real. Like, I'm really, really trying to contain my excitement because it's not even August yet. But this team's won 67 games already. Let's go, boys.
I just had a thought I want to put into the ether to make you mad.
Would be the first time.
That's also fair. I'm just looking to see when Ronald Acuna's contract runs out.
As long as it ain't before the end of the year, I'm good for now.
2027.
Right now we're up on Milwaukee 8-6. Oh, that's
well,
fine.
I was thinking more of the ultimate chess move by the Mets in the Max Scherzer deal, acquiring Acuna's little brother to possibly pilfer him when he's available from Atlanta.
They would have to give them the entire team for them to consider getting rid of Ronald.
Oh, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when his contract runs out. I know they're not giving him up for anything not named Ohtani.
We got time.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, it's time for North America's other favorite game show. What is the run differential for the Oakland Athletics?
Has it been anybody but Oakland this entire year?
No, sir. Just like it was Kansas City most of last year, it has been Oakland almost this entire year, as long as we've been tracking it. Because remember, we don't really track it till we're about a month in, because that first month, this contest doesn't mean anything.
But do you want my crazy prediction for Oakland real quick before we get into the game?
Go ahead.
Their first season in Las Vegas will be a winning season. Calling it now.
All right.
Calling it now.
Fair enough. Don, what you got?
I'm going to say 275.
275.
Negative 275.
Don, you missed the show last week. You were 5 runs over last week.
Okay.
Alex.
Wait, that was 5 runs over last week?
He was.
Oh, he was.
Remember,
okay, then I'm going to do some conservative math. 31 games out. call it 6 times that. We'll go 180 minus 186.
The Oakland Athletics. By the way, here's the other crazy thing.
This is the one you were reserving, yes?
The Atlanta Braves have the best run differential in Major League Baseball right now at plus 149.
Okay.
Do you know who's second in that category?
Who's been scoring a lot of runs this year? I feel like everybody's been scoring runs, but nobody like the Braves. Don, do you have any inclination?
No.
Okay, if I had to guess, I would probably say like Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay is about 50, almost 50 runs behind Atlanta.
Ooh.
I was just thinking
Gosh,
leading
hold
a
on.
tough division.
Bad math. They're 20 games behind Atlanta.
Okay. 20 games?
No, 20 runs.
Okay.
Don? You want to take a guess at who's second in run differential in the entire league this year, right now?
Right meow.
Right now.
Who's winning the AL East?
I'm not saying anything.
That's who I just said,
Did
Don.
you give Alex any hints? I'm not giving you any hints.
No, Don, I will give you this hint. That's who I said, and it was wrong.
And I can't say Milwaukee.
Well, you can.
Okay, Milwaukee.
Incorrect.
Oh, he doesn't get the buzzer?
2 runs behind the Atlanta Braves and run differential for best in the league. Get on 30, go west.
The Rangers.
The Texas Rangers have a plus 147 right now.
What?
Well, it was pitching that they needed, and they're getting everybody.
They've lost 3 in a row, but they won 7 in a row before that. The Oakland A's currently are 30-77. That is a 280 win percentage.
That's only 28% better than all of us.
They're 30 and a half games back.
Trademark Rob Urban.
They're 15-39 at home. They're 15-38 away. What have we said about the A's all year? They are nothing if not consistent.
True. Consistently bad, but true.
4-6 in their last 10. Now, last week, Don's guess was minus 262. And I told you that Don was 5 too high because it was minus 257. I'm going to say something I think I've only said once this year about this particular contest. The A's got better.
No.
Their run differential right now is minus 253. They've gained 4.
No way. I call shenanigans.
Don wants a recount on baseball.
Yeah. Recount.
God bless him. Somebody has to.
And
All right, gentlemen, let's get into the other side of this show on our pop culture because baseball's all we got right now. The
Sadly.
CW has canceled Zac Efron's Down to Earth and Fantastic Friends, each after 2 episodes.
Yikes.
Kind of a gutsy move in your current climate, be canceling things. You should be showing everything you got and some stuff you might steal from somebody else. That's what you should be showing right now. But in an interesting move, because CW is starting to beef up their sports division, the Saturday NASCAR Xfinity Series, which is just the level right below the main series for NASCAR, the CW will be hosting all of those races through 2031, starting in 2025. It's like Warner's like, we don't want NASCAR. Universal, you can have it. CW, you can have it. Because like we said a couple weeks ago, every NASCAR race on the main circuit from now to the end of the year is either on the USA or the NBC.
Yeah.
Discovery said that the opening night of Shark Week was the biggest in 3 years. They had 5.3 million viewers on night 1 of Shark Week.
Because it should be a national holiday. I love Shark Week.
Did you see somebody posted? I can't remember which Facebook group this was in. Somebody had a photo op with Momoa and her husband. She wanted to be just the two of them, and her husband wasn't real comfortable, so he's like 5 feet away in the picture, and Momoa did his signature over her husband's body. I love this guy.
I've seen him do ones where they have something like that, where it's him like pushing the husband aside. He's one of my favorite people right now.
He has one of my favorite lines in The Flash, in the bonus scene, when Barry's like, "I live right there." He's like, "I live here," and he's in a puddle.
Yeah,
yeah, yes, you do. Disney Plus.
Would you like the fun Shark Week personal story for
Go
yesterday?
ahead.
Liz is terrified of sharks.
Right, I respect that.
I used to go swimming with sharks. I love sharks. Off of Big Pine Key, checking out nurse sharks, bonnetheads, loved it. Never had an issue. Barracuda, demon creatures from hell. But sharks, no issue. So in order to keep her distracted from anything that could have been a hint yesterday, I left Shark Week on every TV. It worked.
Justin Simeon, who currently is in theaters as the director of Haunted Mansion, he has left the Lando series on Disney Plus as the writer. So did you see who's replacing him?
I did not.
Lando.
I saw that he was helping. I didn't realize he was just taking over.
Donald Glover and his brother are going to write the Lando series now.
Okay.
Assuming we get one.
I feel like that's something that's going to happen eventually.
Down the road a piece, as the kids like to say. Fox has announced that season 3 of I Can See Your Voice kicks off September 19th. So you got that going for you. Hulu has canceled their star-studded series Up Here after one season. Again, maybe it's tapping the brake on canceling things right now. HBO, after a huge premiere for The Righteous Gemstones, has renewed them for season 4.
Oh, so they are getting renewed now?
Yep.
I thought there was being cut or whatever. So I love that show.
It's hilarious.
Yeah,
I respectfully am concerned with people of religious affiliations' response to it, but it's really funny.
I'm going to skip NBC and come back because this is a pretty big story that broke yesterday. Netflix will start streaming Ugly Betty on Tuesday after the gangbuster business they've been doing. Suits has had over 2 billion viewing minutes since it dropped in June. My wife has binged the entire series. She's currently going through the Lincoln Lawyer. Paramount Plus has canceled Grease Rise of the Pink Ladies after one season and pulled it off the platform. You'll be able to get it in VOD, but you can't watch it on Paramount Plus right now.
I wonder
if they debuted in April.
Yeah, but I'm curious if there's anything particular as a side note as to why the drastic response.
I haven't read anything.
You know, I have the wildly unpopular opinion of I've always found everything Grease related overrated. So this means okay.
I didn't agree with you until I started doing karaoke for a living.
Yeah, I can see that too.
I think I had the soundtrack on vinyl over there.
That's one. All I need to hear is "You're the one that I want." Skip.
That's not the one that bothers me.
All of them bother me.
Summer Nights. And hear me, people. It's called Summer Nights. It's not called Summer Lovin'. That's not the name of the song. It's called Summer Nights. But in the biggest news of the week, Lorne Michaels says he will probably be retiring in the 2024-2025 season of SNL, and the person in talks to replace him is one Tina Fey.
Yeah, she would be a better pick than me.
Here for it. Love her. Big fan. Always have been. Only thing on DVD and Blu-ray for TV this week will be Money in the Bank if you want to relive that.
But going back, I think Tina Fey, she's been such a staple on that show throughout the years anyways, you know. I think she's totally good fit.
Brilliant.
Yeah, totally.
Couple of RIPs in the music world this week. Sinead O'Connor passed away at the age of 56 this week. A lot of people talk about the SNL incident. You cannot get that. It is not available to stream. It is not, just like the Martin Lawrence monologue that caused so many problems. I used to have a box set on DVD of the best of Saturday Night Live musical performances. They cut that out. It's gone.
Wow.
Even if you watch that episode, it's not there. For those of you that don't know, she had made a political statement about the Pope where she held up a picture of him and ripped it up and said, "Fight the real enemy." I watched it live. I saw it when it happened, and I was like, oh, okay.
I believe wasn't it directed at the Catholic Church as a whole?
Yeah.
Not just the Pope?
Yeah.
The sexual abuse scandal. That's why she was.
Which, if we're not going to go into depth, she was right. Moving on.
Yeah, she was right. Yeah.
But one of her cover of Prince's "Nothing Compares to You" is one of the seminal songs of the 90s. And that video, as simple as it is and haunting as it is, she has a great it was a dance remix song she had called "Tears from the Moon." That's really, really good too. Also passing away, somebody you may not know.
If I can.
Yes.
She's always been known for "Nothing Compares to You" and stuff like that. One thing I loved her performance, which made the show, was Roger Waters' "Wall at the Wall" back, I think, like in 1989 or 90 when they did that. And her doing the version of because they had different bands come out and do different songs from the Wall album at the Berlin Wall. Mm-hmm. And it was like 94, 95. And they had the Scorpions, they had Van Morrison doing "Comfortably Numb," but she did Mother. Pink Floyd's "Mother" from the Wall. Her version, she belted that. She had the performance of the night on that show.
Incredibly talented. Incredibly talented.
Yeah.
Also passing away at the age of 77 this week, Randy Meisner. That may not be a name you recognize. He was the original bass player in the Eagles. I was here. He is and he's been in so many great bands and so many great touring bands. But I was hearing a lot about him this week and how the Long Run, which is a great song, or is it Take It to the Limit, one of the two. There's a couple of notes in here that would just cause him stage fright every night. But an absolute great musician. He will be greatly missed, and the Eagles put out a great statement about him this week. As we move into more music talk, "Toxic" by the Britney Spears and "Anti-Hero" by the Taylor Swift now have joined the 1 billion Spotify stream club. So the Taylor Swift, I'm not deep into her catalog, but I heard one of her songs this week that was from the album that's got all the like newspaper articles on it and stuff. It's called like "Are You Ready" or something. That's a banger, dude. Great song.
Honestly, I know nothing. I have no input on that one. Real quick note: "The Wall at the Wall" was July 21st, 1990.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right after it came down because it was 89. Humans, hear me. Put down what you're doing, because I'm about to ruin the image and the style that you used to. When you go to a show that artists spend a lot of time and put a lot of effort into at their show, keep your belongings to yourself. We've had two incidents in the last few days. Drake has now had a purse thrown at him at a show, apparently. And if you're going to throw something at somebody, Cardi B, not your best option, Bubba. Apparently, she got a drink tossed on her at the show, and I
saw video.
Person.
Oh, I saw the video. It was a full-blown, like, ice and all, like, splash, throw in face style toss. And
And
she
you
just
probably paid
turned.
$30 for that drink.
But here's the other part. Cardi B turns, locates target, and she's got a cannon.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah. And then that person was removed.
As assuredly
As
so.
they should be. Yeah.
And in better news, we talked on the other show about how much I'm looking forward to seeing the Sphere in Vegas in person. Your latest Vegas residency has been announced
Mm-hmm.
at Intimate Voltaire. I don't know exactly where that is.
It is the Venetian.
Okay.
Because I know where we're going.
Kylie Minogue. How you doing? Love
Yeah.
it. Crushed on that woman for 4 decades.
Mm-hmm. My
And she-
entire life.
Such a fan. And that's going to be a show.
Yes.
And apparently the Kelly Clarkson getting ready to fire hers up too.
Yeah, there's a lot of, and the interesting thing is I see a lot of artists choosing the residency route nowadays, especially when they have families, rather than touring. And it's really kind of interesting because there's also the aspect that I'm curious how many, let me put it in this context. All of these venues are set up for cameras because not all the seats see well. I am curious to see if any of these wind up making it onto a CBS or if there is a one-off, because I remember one of my favorite productions, we'll call it, that was not necessarily his own music, but a number of years ago, Garth Brooks did a Songs That Made Me show from, I want to say, Vegas.
Oh yeah.
That was amazing. And I'm wondering if we're going to start seeing some of those because other stuff's not going to be available.
I've got actually an album of his called The Hungry Years, where it's like very crude recordings of him doing like small bar shows where he's doing like James Taylor and stuff.
Always like Garth.
Music new releases this week. A band called Art School Girlfriend. That just made me giggle. She's probably from Canada. It's called Soft Landing.
You really just went there.
Yep, I sure did. Miles Kane, formerly of Last Shadow Puppets and the Rascals, has a solo album called One Man Band. And get ready, America, because we have a brand new album from Rick Springfield this week.
Oh, dear.
Called Automatic. He has a covers album that's phenomenal.
Okay.
He did a special on Access TV when it was still called HDNet many years ago. His version of Mr. Mister's Broken Wings is pretty doggone good.
That's a great song.
Yes. One of the crazy bands where the lead singer was the bass player. Please, Deep Blue something.
Selectively the Beatles.
Yeah. No, depending on the day.
Yeah. And
Let's
who was
go.
fighting who?
Let's go into box office numbers from our friends at Box Office Mojo. Dropping out of the top 10 this week. No Hard Feelings drops from 10 to 13. It's made $50 million. They'll be okay. Transformers Rise of the Beasts drops from 9 to 14 this week, as it makes a little over $300,000, but they've made $156.6 million. They're going to be all right. Let's see if there's anything else. Doesn't look like anything else has dropped out of the top 10 this week. Dropping from 8 to 10 this week is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, another $1.4 million. 9 weeks, $378.8 million. Good news, it's doing very, very well. Bad news, we don't know when we're getting the next chapter. Its release date has gone to undetermined.
Mm-hmm.
Insidious: The Red Door drops from 6 to 9. $3.2 million. 4 weeks, $78.1 million.
I feel like you pay off somebody at Box Office Mojo to make that happen every week because it always seems to happen.
It's happening more and more this year.
Yeah, but it's always whoever was in 6th the prior week. Okay, who's going to be 9th next week? Who's in 6th this week? Rob, let's get there.
Well, we'll see. Elemental drops from 7 to 8 this week, another $3.4 million. 7 weeks, $145 million. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny drops from 5 to 7 this week, $4 million. It's lost 720 screens, which could be part of that reason. 5 weeks, $167.1 million. Don saw a movie last week. Or saw
Mhm.
you up for a movie last week. Talk to me. A24's second biggest weekend in the history of ever for them.
Now, I've heard a lot of good things about this one, but Don, I want to ask you a
Yeah.
couple of questions if we're going to tease something for later.
Yeah.
Thumbs up or thumbs down on Talk to Me?
Oh, thumbs up. If you go to my written review at www.clubhousepodcast.com.
That's our
That's our website. And I like how he answered the second question without me having to ask it.
Well, here's the thing for people that don't know about this movie. This is an Australian film.
Mhm.
I have read the Wikipedia page, so I know how it ends, so I'm good. These guys were YouTubers,
Yep.
and this is their first director, and now they're the ones being tasked to direct a film that June Diane Raphael will have a lot of questions on because she wants to know what a Street Fighter is.
Well, I'll say that the acting, the lead girl Mia, the African American lady, did incredible. She, especially with the limited, resume. But
Its budget was just over $5 million. It doubled that at the box office this week.
it was a fun film. There is some gore. Keep that in mind. There are some scenes, put it that way. But that's what you can expect with something like this. But it was fun, and I like the inkling of it.
No, that's my answer.
Oh, I know that. We know that about you.
Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 drops from 4 to 5 this week, $10.7 million. 3 weeks, $139.2 million. Sound of Freedom drops from 3 to 4 this week, $12.4 million. 4 weeks, $149 million. Haunted Mansion debuts in the bronze medal position this week. It made $24.2 million. Very much enjoyed this film.
Yeah, it isn't doing as well as they would hope, but it's also up against juggernauts right now.
Yeah.
But it's better than the last time they tried it.
It's a low bar.
And we had a lot of fun at that screening.
Yeah. And of course, Allied always does fun.
Yep.
They always make it fun.
Your top two, stay with your top two this week. Oppenheimer, another $46.2 million. 2 weeks, $174.1 million.
And it deserves even more.
Here's the thing. For those of you that don't have an IMAX 70 millimeter theater in your area, we have one. There's actually 2 in Texas of the 30 something that they did. There was such a demand for those screenings. Last weekend, they were running 24 hours a day. There were people going to screenings of Oppenheimer at 3:30 in the morning last Saturday. And winning the weekend. Gaining 94 screens, by the way. Oppenheimer gained 37 screens. Barbie does another $93 million. 2 weeks. $351.4 million. Now, let's look at global, shall we? Oppenheimer has now passed $400 million. It has also set the second biggest weekend ever for an R-rated film.
The largest second weekend. So the second weekend it is out, just to clarify.
For an R-rated film.
Mm-hmm.
Barbie worldwide.
That's the sequel.
$174.5 million. By the way, it did $29 million on Friday alone.
Mm-hmm.
It also now has the biggest Monday box office in the history of ever, beating out The Dark Knight.
But did you see my favorite headline regarding Barbie over the opening weekend?
I do not know.
A number of audiences were complaining in the theaters because no matter how far separated they were, they could hear the atom bomb in Oppenheimer throughout the theater.
Yeah. Over 200,000 people did the double feature that week.
Yep. The Barbenheimer.
And my boss was one of them.
Nice.
I am going to see Barbie. I have every intention of seeing Barbie.
As do I.
I need to find a time where there's not going to be 9 billion people there, because I
Also
went
that.
to a screening Wednesday night at North Park. Wednesday night. And it was in a very small auditorium for theater camp, which I absolutely enjoyed. And that theater was so packed full of people. It was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. But I'm happy that people are going to the movies.
Absolutely.
You know how I feel about that. There's no other.
I knew they had the big Barbie last weekend as a big opening, but I'm surprised, honestly, that Haunted Mansion's doing what it did this week. I thought it'd be number one. I really did.
Oh, what?
Really?
I just did.
I would have taken that bet easily.
That's fine.
Because Barbie and Oppenheimer are such juggernauts right now.
Yeah.
I'm still shocked, number one, that Oppenheimer didn't get released later in the year. But number two, I'm more shocked that Haunted Mansion didn't get a fall release.
Yeah. They should have done in October. Go ahead.
Now, the other part you have to look at this is what has driven numbers more, almost as much as anything else in recent history, has been premium formats. And Haunted Mansion has 0.
And really, it's less than 100 theaters more than Oppenheimer, but it's behind Barbie by about 600 theaters.
Yeah. And Oppenheimer has a deal for the next 2 weeks of exclusive premium format.
And I thought, well, Disney getting this is Disney. They get, a lot of, preferred, theaters and stuff like that.
You would think that's a logical explanation.
Field is getting a lot more level as the years go on.
Yeah. Well, it also has to do with the fact that Disney's so willing to pull their movies from theaters just to put them on Disney Plus at this point.
Well, and if you're in Australia, you better get Disney Plus now. I read today that they are going to stop making physical media for Australia.
Well, I can see that being a cost ineffective route at this point.
I stand by my physical media. I always will.
You have very logical reasons.
No other big headlines this week from a movie standpoint. But movie new releases this Wednesday. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem getting very good buzz early.
Well, they've already been greenlit. So,
friend of the show, Patrick Beatty, he tends to do these things with franchises where he'll put up a post and he'll rank he did all of the Christopher Nolan movies last week. He ranked this second behind the 1990 film in his rankings of all of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle films.
First movie I ever got to see at a private screening. Unintentionally, but still.
There might be another screening coming soon. Here soon.
That one? Screening? Another?
I'm not saying that there might be some time I might be spending with some cast members at a retro expo maybe next month. I'm not saying we don't have a screening plan, but there's going to be a time where they're going to be there. I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Come to Retro Expo in September and meet some of the stars of the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
In case you're wondering to see more updates on that, look right below Rob's name. You can follow that on all social media. He does post regularly.
Yep. Big announcements from Retro Expo. Very excited. Got me confused with screens. It's like, no, we're not doing a screen. We're going to talk to him. Meg 2 The Trench, because there were so many unanswered questions from the Meg.
Knock it all you want. I loved it. It was fun.
Corner Office is another movie this week. Orson, a compulsive bureaucrat, discovers a secret room. This has John Hamm, Danny Pudi in it as well.
This is one of those trailers you should go watch. It is all the best kinds of insane. But it looks like it's set in roughly like 1986, 1987.
Also this week, Till Death Do Us Part. After bailing on her wedding, a former bride-to-be must fight off her ex-groom and 7 angry killer groomsmen in order to survive the night. Didn't we see this when it was called
Scott Pilgrim versus the World?
Or Hide and Seek?
I didn't see Hide and Seek, but it sounds right.
Also this week, The Collective. A young recruit to a mysterious agency of assassins finds himself going rogue on his first assignment, tracking down a dangerous group of human traffickers. Ruby Rose, Don Johnson, Lucas Till, Tyrese Gibson, all in this.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica Frost this week, a young woman searching for the truth about why a time-traveling psychopath is after her, is thrown into a turbulent journey through the desert, time, space, and her family's past. No cast listed here.
Interesting.
And Dream and Wild. This looks really good. This is based on a
it does.
Musical duo Donnie and Joe Emerson spend everything they have to produce a record that's rediscovered that they recorded in the 70s. It's based on a true story. Walton Goggins, Zooey Deschanel, Casey Affleck, Jack Dylan Grazer's in this. Bo Bridges is in this. Very excited.
I've heard this is the best of Casey Affleck's career, and it's not close.
We just talked about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Mutant Rampage. If you have an Xbox, as we get into a little bit of tech talk here, you can get a themed controller that is pizza scented.
I'm sorry. What were those last two words?
Hold on 1 second here. As I see if I can pull the picture up here for you. It is pizza scented.
Not recommended if you have pets that like to chew on things.
Allow me to show this to you. Share screen. Here we go. Easiest with two. I know how to share a screen. But now it's asking, okay, finally. This is what it looks like. And there's one for each of them.
Oh, God.
This part right here perplexes me. Is this supposed to be like a memory card or something?
I am going to guess that is actually the charger.
Okay. That's the battery?
Well, not the battery, but it would be a rest for it to sit. Oh, nope. It is something else. What is going on here?
Oh, you could use it with or without it.
I have no idea what that is.
Oh, that's the diffuser that does the pizza scent.
Well, I figured that would be the case, but what is going on? It must be literally attached to the battery compartment, the plastic flap on the back. You know, that would have been a good time to test our newscast view.
Yeah. So there's that. And I have been addicted to something lately, and I can't get enough of it. Have you ever heard of something called the RHCB?
Yes.
It stands for Red Heated Copper Ball.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a YouTube or a Facebook feed out there where they're taking these red hot copper spheres and placing them in things as they cool off to see what they do. I think Florida Foundry is the one that I
yes.
I can't get enough of these. I don't know what they are. I don't know what they do. But I can't get enough of them. These are amazing. I've seen them drop them. Today I saw they dropped one in one of those oversized jawbreakers. That was awesome.
Did you see the one on the grapefruit?
Not yet, but I will.
Enjoy that one.
Because I love these. But yeah, these are awesome. Go check them out. Anything else, gentlemen, we want to talk about before we do the plugs and get out of here?
I don't think we could top Red Hot Copper Ball.
No.
Make sure you follow us on all your social medias. Remember our website, www.theclubhousepodcast.com. Find out everything you need to know and some stuff you don't. Actually, that should have been this one. Follow us on all your social medias. Twitter's at Clubhouse Show. Everything else is The Clubhouse Podcast. All three words in that order, or you will wind up somewhere else. You can follow me on your social medias if you'd like. Everything is yes, that Rob Irvin. That is spelled ERVIN.
I'm Vexploit on all social media. If you'd like to help out the show, please go to ProWrestlingTees.com and search for the Cheap Popcast. That would be pop as in the bubble, but the Cheap Popcast. If you're an artist who has some designs you'd like to contribute, or even some suggestions you have on the availability of what is on our store, you can reach out to me at alex@theclubhousepodcast.com.
Yeah, the URL to get those awesome shirts is prowrestlingtees.com/cheappopcast. Those shirts may even make me look good. At Twitter, I'm at Igbunu, HBNUU, which is right in that there, Igbunu, Twitter. And then also, if you want this master at your place, email me, Don at clubhousepodcast.com.
Email Don for information on how we can come do a live show for you. We love doing live shows and hanging out with the Empire. You can email me questions, comments, concerns. Tell me to go pound sand. I am Rob at theclubhousepodcast.com. Charlotte Marshall is on Pinterest because we are morally obligated to say that. Our normal show every Sunday night, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific is your one-stop shop for all things sports, entertainment, and pop culture. We'll be back next week. Cutting it a little bit short tonight. Not a lot to talk about, but we also got to go watch the Great American Bash. So until next time, for Alex, for Don, for the Empire, I'm Rob. Clubhouse is closed. Brittany Palmer working UFC, so what she does.